Minister of Finance, what reports has he received on the economy?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, Statistics New Zealand today reported that real GDP grew by 0.6% in the March quarter. The economy has now grown by 1.9% over the past 4 quarters following the contraction that began at the start of 2008. The continuing recovery, which is broadly aligned with our trading partners, is good news because it helps create new jobs and raise New Zealand's living standards. However, there is significant work to do. The economy has only recovered about half of the fall it incurred during 2008, and growth is mixed across the sectors. That's why the government will continue with its policy program.
Katrina Shanks.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. To the Minister, what challenges does the economy face?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, we need to overcome the effects of the recession and of the mismanagement of the previous government, which means we need to rebalance the economy so it will save more, produce more worthwhile output and rely less on consumption and debt. We also need to reduce New Zealand's vulnerability to overseas lenders. As the United Kingdom budget showed, if these problems are allowed to persist, then major and painful changes would be needed later. There are encouraging signs that the recovery is headed in the right direction, and we welcome those.
The Honourable David Cunliffe.
Mr Speaker, has the sharp growth in overseas demand for raw logs seen in today's statistics been matched by the closure of timber mills, loss of jobs and decline of a domestic industry to such an extent that the Timber Industry Federation called it a rape and run industry? And if so, when will he take action to ensure our economy is one that produces added value and secures jobs for New Zealanders?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, the forestry products industry is cyclical. Sometimes log prices are up, which makes it harder for domestic sawmills. Actually, for quite a number of years, log prices have been down, which have made it easier for domestic sawmills. The good news is that the growth across the economy is coming from the right places. Government consumption is no longer growing rapidly. Export volume growth is the strongest in 3 years, while overall tradable sector output has shown its first signs of sustained growth since 2004.
Katrina Shanks.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. To the Minister, how is the government tackling our economic challenges?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, yeah, that's right, very well, very well. The government needs to use every tool at its disposal. In the budget, we made changes to the tax system to try and assist the rebalancing of the economy. I know the government is continuing to focus on careful use of public money, so to ensure that we don't take any more from the income earning side of the economy than we need to.
Claire Curran.
Was he surprised by the drop in the communications sector, or was it expected given the continual delays in the government's broadband plan, which has failed to lay 1 inch of broadband fibre in 18 months, creating a crisis of confidence in the industry?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, I don't make guesses about quarterly growth rates, let alone individual components of it, because they do fluctuate. The broadband plan, as the member will know, is quite complex, and I'm pleased to say it is on track, on target, going very well, and we hope that we will get. We certainly do hope we'll get laying ultra-fast fibre considerably quicker than, for instance, the Australians.
Katrina Shanks.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. To the Minister, how does growth in the past year compare with previous growth in the economy?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, there is little doubt that the economy entered a long-term slowdown over the past 5 years, well before the world was in recession. That is, New Zealand went into recession before the world did. For example, per capita GDP declined between 2005 and 2008, even when the rest of the world was doing well. This is primarily because of economic mismanagement by the previous government. Even today, average per capita income remains only at 2004 levels.
Honourable David Cunliffe.
Mr Speaker, when he refers to, quote, the economic mismanagement of the previous Labor government, does he include the zero net debt achieved under Labor And does he include the world record low unemployment achieved under Labor? And would he care to speculate whether today's results would have been achieved had we taken his advice when in opposition and given unaffordable tax cuts to the wealthy in 2005 and 2006, making debt worse?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, if the previous government had taken any amount of sensible advice, they would have done a lot better than they did. For instance, they wouldn't have blown out government spending from 2004 onwards. They wouldn't have helped to foster a property boom. They wouldn't have put taxes up, and now we would have had a faster growing economy.
Question number 2, the Honourable Annette King.
Thank you, Mr Speaker.